Sorry. Okay, just a quick announcement. Today, we're going to do the prayers. Can you make it bigger than that, Susie? We changed the prayers a little bit, so this prayers will be up on the screen for today. All the teaching prayers in the morning and at the end of the teachings will be on the screen there, but it doesn't make sense to make so many copies when they change for every retreat almost. So they change a little bit, so it's like we just need to use the screen, so please bear with us for that. But you do have the green Tara Sadhana that I'm sure Rimshi's going to use this morning, so if you make sure you have a copy of that on your desk. And also, just a gentle reminder for those of us who may not be aware and for those of us who maybe are but forget, it's easy to forget. Dharma texts, we should, one of the advices for when you take refuge is to be very mindful with Dharma materials. So we did see something lying around today on the floor. I know it was probably an accident and it's not judging anybody. It's just reminding, gentle nudge and reminder that really try to be careful with Dharma materials. It's a bit like, as I mentioned in the morning meditation, if we put a food on the floor, it gets kind of contaminated, yeah? So if we want to enjoy the Dharma, we need to take care like that, and then we really get the taste, so it creates obstacles a little bit, for our mind when we place texts on the floor or even on our cushions. When we have them in our bag, try not to keep it clean, covered if you can, so not to just to throw it in the bag with lots of other things, So just someone pointed out to me that they saw some text on the floor. So just a wee reminder of that, just for your own spiritual benefit, really, to be mindful around Dharma texts. Thanks.
Oh non, non. Vraiment, bon.
Okay, so we start with the prayers again this morning. Nama tomba jomdende dejinje bara jomba yanda ba sobe sangi ripadan shasude deva sheba jitenge bage budu vegalo gyuwa lana me pala dame namgi tomba sangi jomdende belgyawa shukya tu pala shakse Chodo gyapsu chi Ama tomba jomde deshin sheba jomba yanda baso besang repadan shasu demba deva sheba chitenge page budu vegalo gyuwa la dame namge tomba sangi chomdende belgyawa shakya tupa shakselo chodo gyapsu chi olama tomba chomdende deshe para jomba yan sobe sange ripadan shasu demba deva shepa jetenge pa gebu duve galo gyuwa lana me palada me namki tomba sange chomdende pelgyawa shakya tupa shakselo chodo gyapsu chi. When supreme among humans you were born in this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies, formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, saviour, to you I prostrate. Sorry, with supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, colour like gold, to you I prostrate. Thus free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Saviour having great compassion, the Teacher having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Do not commit any unwholesome actions. Engage in perfect wholesome actions. Subdue one's own mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a defective view, a butter lamp flame, an illusion, a dewdrop, a water bubble, a dream, lightning, a cloud. See all causative phenomena like this. By these merits, may I transmigratory beings attain the state of all-seeing, subdue the enemy of faults, and be freed from the ocean of samsara, disturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. indescribable, inconceivable, and inexpressible perfection of wisdom, unproduced, unceasing, the nature of space, object of the uniquely knowing transcendental wisdom. To the Mother, the victorious ones, of the three times I prostrate. I prostrate to the three noble, rare, sublime ones, else did I hear at one time the Bhagavan was dwelling on mass of Vulture's mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this correctly and repeated, beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena emptiness without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore in emptiness there is no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body. Visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element, and so on up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on up to and including no aging and no extinction of aging. And similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. No exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom. The mind without obscuration and without fear, having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly, completely awaken to unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that
defies all suffering, should be known as true since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata gati gati paragati parasamgati bodhisoha. Shariputra the bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva. Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice, the Bhagavan having thus spoke, the Venerable Sarivadipura, the Bodhisattva Masa, Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. From the holy supreme realm of Gachara, you possess powers of clairvoyance and magical emanation. Look after practitioners like a mother looks after her children. To the host of Dakinis of the three abodes, I prostrate. Akasamaratsa Shadara Samarayape. Akasamaratsa. Akasamaratsa Shadara Samarayape. Tayata Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisoha. By the teachings of the noble three rare sublime ones possessing the power of truth, may hindrances be averted, may they be eliminated, may they be pacified. May all enemies and negative forces opposed to Dharma Shantam Kuru Soha. May the host of 80,000 obstacles be pacified. May we be free from harmful conditions to Dharma. May all excellencies be in accord with the Dharma. May there be auspiciousness and perfect happiness here right now. May all sentient beings have happiness in the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering in the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness that knows no suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and hatred for those held close and distant. Short mandala. O Sajibogi Jeshemetodram Rirab Ling Jenyede Yembadi Sange Jindu Mite Uwarye Jogunam Dakshina Jubar Shojetsunama Dambagyenam Gijogu Kala Gense Juzinjik Jita Zambe Duljezimala Zabki Chugi Charpa Abdu Soyedam Guru Ratna Mandala Gamne Yadayami Sangye chodan sogi chognam la janju bardu dagni gyabsu chi dagi chunyenge be sonamge rola penjir sangye drupar sho sangye chodan sogi chognam la janju bardu dagni gyabsu chi dagi chunyenge be sonamge drola penjir sangye drupar shok. I take refuge until I'm enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my merits I create through listening to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings.
Okay. Lada lami jibinji jabjibe molada ne pumba gunne drozama droma yumla chansa lo penso gele chiwe jumbe gu taye drove rewa gongwe zo mali shija jinse shage zo dena kucha sel ramjam suram guna dawe me kesan taban drove jungo jo sebe gyobe tabye zaba ye senze shinye namla kucha sel chumnene mapaman droma la chansa lo chansa droma dare blemo Tudara jigun sema duri dona damje de masuwa yeki chila rabdu ngo. Okay. And Mother Tara, which is a manifestation of all the Buddhas, all the enlightened beings, wisdom, the compassion, the potential, the power manifest. So, so I think in I think philosophical way to, I say, intellectual way of relating with the deity Tara, Idam Tara, and spiritual way of relating with Idam Tara. They can be two different. Intellectual or whatever coming under way of understanding, basically something that's, as you know, individual, in the previous eons, Kabas before generating bodhicitta, wants to benefit sentient being in a basin, in a female manifestation, that kind of a dedication and prayer, basically, creating base for able to benefit sentient being. So that's, I think, as you know, usually we, and based on that kind of bodhicitta motivation, and then there's a, Tara, the enlightened being, which have liberated infinite, countless sentient being. And then we can go through like great teachers in, like for example, in Nalanda, like a Nagarjuna, and Nagarjuna, and also like a really have a really blessings by the Tara. There's a lot of Nagarjunas benefiting for sentient beings, and also Lama Atisha, one of the great, not master from Nalanda, is from a different monastery, but one of the great master have a very strong connection with the Tara, and Tara's spiritual guidance really guide this great teacher, Lama Adisha. Is for example, Lama Adisha, when he's trying to Tibetans in the early time very diligently wants to invite great masters such as Lama Adisha to Tibet. Lama Adisha is like not immediately saying, yes, I'll come, but there is lots of consult with the Tara, the vision, and many different ways. Basically, when individual practitioners, when you have a different level of a concentration and the wisdom, understanding, awareness, the way you're relating with the enlightened being, there can be karmic connection and whatever karmic situation, individual can have that kind of like a vision or interactiveness. The unconcentrated mind, distracted state of a mind without awareness of a nature of reality, very limited, just basically becomes that the conventional mind that we have an interactiveness. It's very limited. So anyway, such a great master, again, due to the guidance of Tara, at the end he made a decision to travel to Tibet and make teachings and benefiting sentient beings. That's kind of like so anyway, and this particularly like a practice of Tara, Lama Adisha brought to Tibet and flourished very much into the all society in Tibet. Not only monastics, but even the individual personal practice of all Tibetan, all traditions. So so Tara practice being is being, and then I think within the like there's a Tara manifestation, white Tara with a wisdom eye. There's more, you have a different manifestation. Then there's a red Tara. Basically, later on Gelug lineage, lamas are much more relating with white Tara. It have a much more wisdom element and a long life, blessing kind of potential. And green Tara seems like a very universal, and a red Tara is much more universal, like a Kaikyu Nyingma practice. So there's different lamas, different masters, based on their own karmic disposition and level of their own wisdom and awareness. It have a different, due to different cause and condition, it makes different connections, that kind of based on their own visions and so on and so forth. So now as an individual, we as a practitioners, where we are relating with the Tara, obviously, somebody who are already Buddhist and grown up in the Buddhist kind of culture, you already kind of naturally believing as a Tara as an enlightened being, the enlightened being. So now basically, the dedications of the Tara's bodhicitta when she was in the path, practicing in the path, and our own karmic. So somehow we need to kind of spiritually connecting is basically something there's something that we are the particularly karmically part of the Tara's prayer to this kind of a time, kind of considered as a certain level of a degenerated time. So here us in this kind of little bit, not intrinsically, but conditionally, kind of a squeeze into a difficult karmic circumstances. Then there's this kind of like a bodhicitta in our own karma, bodhicitta avatara in our own karma. There's this kind of a karmic connection. And as our own self, as a practitioner, we're believing as a Tara, as an enlightened being. So from that point of view, we have a kind of like a faith and a devotion to Tara. Now, that faith and devotion, how it precedes Mother Tara, does need to be, we need to kind of, if we perceive that as a, kind of like a enlightened being, yes. But if we see like everything, there's a kind of like a creator, that Tara, she can, take care of everything, or something like this, or something that truly existing, something ultimate. Then I'm not sure, but we will, based on a faith and a devotion, we might give us some kind of a tendency to see as the ultimate. That's something that can create, due to the blessings of the Tara, it can navigate my own reality. Somehow we're giving this kind of a power to Tara. We like to do that. Somebody going to fix my problem. We like to do that. And we might do that many different ways. We might do that based on a faith and a devotion. We might do that based on a whatever, and based on our own laziness. So here is the important part is, although we, as a practitioner, we see as a Tara as an enlightened being, at the same time, there's a way of saying that enlightened beings, wisdom and compassion, potential and power, and we as an individual person, our own karma, karmic power are equal. There's nothing can override, is equal. So fundamentally, what is the important part is that from a spiritual point of view, something that you have that kind of like a faith and a devotion. At the same time, Tara as nothing, something that not seen as an individual enlightened being, but in aspect we can see as an individual enlightened being, but in a nature, it is a nature of all the enlightened beings, nature of all the enlightened beings, wisdom, enlightened activity manifesting into the Tara. So I think if we kind of little bit push more further into something that not so much is manifest individual manifest as a different, but in a nature as a seeing as a enlightened activity of all the Buddhas in the past and present and future as a Mother Tara. Okay, so it is something that spiritually, you need to go manifestation is just kind of like a cue, and furthermore, where you're connecting with the Tara, you have to go beyond the manifestation. You have to go to the beyond the manifestation. Manifestation is just kind of like to lead you to that kind of like a way to connecting with the enlightened being. Okay, and there is also another that manifestation have another purpose that based on our own karmic disposition also relating. Okay, so so basically, in a day-to-day life, when you're doing your Tara practice or Tara mantra recitation, of course, at the beginning, you might go through in a manifestation, visualization of the manifestation, but at the end, your heart, your feeling need to go beyond the manifestation. Based on that manifestation, you experiencing, you are connecting that manifestation as a nature of all. So you have a more the character of that manifestation. Character, what is the energy of that manifestation is a nature of all the enlightened beings enlightened activity manifestation. So basically, through that kind of a, manifestation, so basically, like for example, as a human being, we have a different manifestation. At the same time, manifestation is just the cover. But in the essence, in the nature, you have individual, we have our own kind of behaviors and character. Okay, so the more you understood the character, you will understood the more the person than the manifestation. Am I saying the right? Can I say that way? In a common way, in a common way. So in a Tara, in a similar way in Tara, the manifestation is one thing as a kind of leading, as in your faith in the devotion have to be much more connected with the character, the energy of the Tara, which is the manifest, which is kind of like a basically enlightened all the Buddhas, enlightened activity. Somehow you are connecting with that vibration, that energy. So basically, it's it is not, when you're cultivating devotion to Tara, you are not so much one individual enlightened beings, not so much. I mean, like maybe at the beginning, maybe some type of individual enlightened being, which is a feminine manifestation. But we need to go beyond that. We should not stay into that. It is in the enlightened states, there's not so much male and a female, this different type of a characteristic manifestation is not so much exist. So basically, a wisdom quality, like method quality, enlightened activity quality. So these are really the how your devotion and your faith devotions are the main connection you build. You don't build the connection with the Mother Tara just based on a manifestation. No, manifestation is just a condition. And you need to build, and also we can say, the basically enlightened being existence and sentient being existence is a different. The different in terms of, I'm not saying one enlightened and not one's non-enlightened. Basically, sentient beings' existence, our dualistic perceptions creates very dualistic, in the individual level, dualistic of a body, speech, and mind. Dualistic of, they're so dualistic, dual reality. Everything we are kind of separate. We all kind of, everything's kind of like discriminated. Now, in a state of enlightened being, because of the ultimate wisdom, due to the ultimate wisdom, there's no dualistic experience, not such a thing. It's the being is state of absence of a dualistic. So in enlightened state, even we say the body, speech, and mind as a one nature. And all the Buddhas are one nature, different manifestation. There's no something individual manifestation exists, but there's no individual nature, and there's no individual entity for enlightenment. Okay, so therefore, it is a. So I think we need to try. I think it's a not. So I think this kind of awareness is. I think our faith and devotion to enlightened being based on this kind of awareness. I need to transform my faith and devotion into non-dualistic states, non-dualistic character, non-dualistic approach. Okay, so then that faith can, if we have that kind of like awareness and approach, then they will be more naturally to see Tara as not just describing as a manifestation of all the Buddha's enlightened activity, but as a seeing as a, there's much more kind of like that kind of a connection and feeling that we can build up, okay? Now, now, whatever we, Taras, the liberator, um, at the same time, in the Buddhist philosophy, we need to liberate our own self. There's the title of Tara is, one way, okay, the liberation, liberator, Buddha says, Dangi dagi guen. So basically, liberator, we cannot give contract for Tara to liberate. We need to liberate our own self. Maybe fortunate, maybe unfortunate. So these whole things need to understood based on bodhicitta and the karma, the concept of a Tara, this manifestation of an enlightened being. In one layer, okay, in the Buddhist philosophy, Buddha cannot become liberator for us. We have to be liberator for our. Now, then what is this whole thing? It is basically the perfect condition, power of the bodhicitta, and the karmic situation where we are. Due to that, it puts us into the very karmically, conducive, or basically, our window, the karmic window that where we are have a much more sun at this moment, whatever the sun is direction going through. It is just basically something like that. Basically something like that. There's more warmth due to the position of our karmic condition and the sun and the shining of the Mother Taras, bodhicitta and loving kindness. And so therefore, there's a naturally, drawn towards to that kind of like a enlightened states, okay? But now at the end of the day, we need to liberate our own self. And at the end of the day, our own inner master, inner teacher need to be manifest, and that need to be lead. The rest of the things are conditioned. So, but usually the second part of this explanation is true, but we don't want to hear that. We like to hear that somebody does something for us. I mean, like, there's the truth have in both explanation have a truth. There's some truth in both have that. So anyway, now the concept, the guideline of a Buddha saying you have to be yourself protector, and that need to be, at the same time, there is a merit field, a refuge field, the yidams, the Buddhas, and the Bodhisattvas. Again, they cannot be, these two not necessarily contradict, they can be complement, okay? They can be complement. These two, the concept, the visualizations of the yidams, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and the teaching of we need to be our own protector. We need to be liberated by our own self. These two both are truth, but these both can collaborate in a complement. This awareness, understanding can be complement. Okay, we not necessary to see contradict statement. Okay, now. The habit habit of way we're relating with the Yidams and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The habit is somehow maybe something related with our laziness or something that we're relating with the enlightened beings, the Yidams, almost like sometimes almost like quite close to the creator. They can create everything for us, and we just need to do some prayer. And there's some gap where there's some gap, and that's need to be, I think. So, I think we need to see as a Tara. I mean, like, again, once our concentration is really good, once our wisdom awareness have dissolve more dualistic, then can have that kind of interactiveness, guidance, and that kind of like your awareness is activate in different level. Your accessibility of your awareness in a different level. That can be different story. At this moment, then we get more extreme, that almost like somehow I'll do prayer, I'll do this 4 mandala practice, I'll do this mantra, I'll do this 21 Tara, and then almost like you expected something. So anyway, the main thing is keeping the faith and the devotion strong, but not falling faith and devotion into expectation. Open faith and devotion, not kind of falling into the expectation. So the more we stay in that kind of a state of awareness, there's more potential for ripening into the different karmic conditions. If we fall into the faith and devotion into the expectation, there's more obstacle into the ripening into our own positive karmic dispositions. So that's kind of like now in a generally, so fundamentally, I think if we, when we say I want to practice Tara, I want to do Tara practice and so on and so forth, I have this strong, heartful connection, and now that's kind of like due to our own karmic dispositions and the blessings of the Taras, bodhicitta, and wisdom. So now here in this kind of situation, now if we have a strong feeling in faith and devotion, or this connection, heartful connection, if we want to have that connection to improve, that connection to go much more deeper, mantra recitation and praise are good, but we need to take mantra recitation and praise into next level. Basically, like for example, mantra recitation of a Tara. I like to do a Tara mantra. Sometimes I like to do Tara mantra when I'm walking. You're trying to we become multitask. Same time you're walking and doing Tara mantra, completing our Tara mantra commitment, and trying to do too many things. So I think the word commitment is kind of strange. Commitment. It looks like a force. It's just commitment, my commitment. It becomes dry, commitment. Maybe it's my daily practice. My daily practice. We never tell breakfast is my commitment. I'm doing my morning commitment. Commitment. Okay. Anyway, so basically, everything I think, in the Vajrayana Buddhism, we have all these Idam manifestation. And again, these connections and these karmic situations we need to kind of take to the next level. Basically transforming our awareness, basically making our awareness much more healthy based on that connection to the Tara. You have a devotion, you want to connect, you buy Tara statue, Tara statue, and that becomes your kind of like a, on the altar, kind of anytime you see it represent things, it reminds you things. This all is your reminds. Usually, when you go to different places, and like how you introduce the Tara statue that you bought. You say it was a blasted, it was a mantra field. I think it's you're just giving the process. We need to get how you introduce your Tara statue. We have to get to different level. This is a boring, mantra field, is concentrated. That's standard. That's just basic. Yes, that's required. We have to do that. But really, how to introduce the statue that you bought, it inspired you to buy. Maybe say, this is my object of my concentration. Maybe bring to the spiritual, not the process, introduce your journey. If you connect with that statue with a more journey of your spiritual path, journey of your way, the direction that you're taking, improving your kindness, improving your skillful means. So you are relating with this statue is a much more in a different level. It's representing your bodhicitta. Is representing your practice of refuge. Is representing your practice of your concentration. Is representing your practice of wisdom. So we need to see not only the process, or sometimes you say, I bought from Nepal, we bought it. And then the rest of the, based on that kind of like inspiration, then of course there's no limitation of your offering ornaments. These all things are just personal expressions of your faith and devotion. Is so beautiful. It's not trying to make a Tara statue very fancy. Okay, so the connection with your altar and connection with your Tara image, and of course your spiritual journey plus your karma plus bodhicitta of enlightened beings. So you have this whole like a deep is kind of very deep, is a very deep. It is it's a personal, it is your person, it's represent, it's connect, it inspired for your future journey into the path of enlightenment, path to benefiting sentient being. It's something that your connection needs to build much more deeper, okay? It's not so, sometimes, as the last night I mentioned, maybe sometimes you say, I have a difficulty, this and that, and the teacher recommend do Tara practice. It becomes, sometimes what's going on here? Is Tara practice supposed to do to solve our daily problem? Or what's happening here? What's happening here? So it's like, I think there's something lost in the translation. Basically what's happening is over here is it's not directly Tara practice is the answer for your problem in the job situation, not necessarily, but any problem that arises, in our personal life, this is just basically our karma, particularly in our virtue karma, in sharpness of our karma, strengthness of our karma is kind of losing, and that somehow there's some level of a weakness is there, and that creates attracts those kind of a condition, and you get caught into the different problems. So Tara itself is not necessarily as a professional problem solver in your job situation, but okay, there will be a recommendation about Tara, but that's basically saying here, accumulate merit, strengthen, straighten up your merit. And that part is a perfectly right to do from Tara practice. And then, kind of like a second effect, maybe that can help to whatever the condition that we are facing, okay? So therefore, and why Tara practice becomes such a, kind of straightening up our merit is because of that, again, karmic disposition of where we are right now and the bodhicitta of Tara, that kind of like enlightened activity and the karmic circumstances have that kind of dependent arising connection. So basically, it is basically that makes the kind of like the effectiveness, Okay, so that's kind of like a basically the essential, like a, Tara statues and There's a friend of mine, Geshe, and he have a very beautiful 21 Tara statue. I think 21, yeah. Or one Tara, I don't remember which one. Maybe 21 Tara. Anyway, the things that I caught, every time he goes out and he finds some precious stones and beautiful ornaments, and he will buy and offer to the Tara statue. So it's like anytime, that's kind of like a, it's kind of like a, yeah, one day I just visit him and a couple of days we spend time. I think he bought 2 times some stones. Oh, that's good I'm going to offer to Tara. And next day we go somewhere. And again, he's, oh, this is good. Huh? Sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. Again, karmic dispositions where we are, I think it becomes plays important role. I mean, like the color code and which Buddha family. Now, basically, we are in a desire realm, and a desire realm have a naturally attachment and desire that, and like a affliction such as like a jealousy is a part of attachment experience. So basically, the Tara, as mentioned earlier, bodhicitta, dedicated time of being in this desire, time of this time. So again, now to answer your question directly, I think there's a level. The practitioner's beginning level, practitioners, we improve our concentration and our wisdom and our practice of refuge. then this kind of a specific effect can become more more, I say, observing. You know, there's a specific, like a Manjushri as a wisdom, Avalokiteshvara as a compassion. At the beginning level, at the beginning practice, when our concentration and our state of awareness is a kind of not too clear, at that moment, that kind of enlightened potential cannot have that much that we as an individual coming being can experience. Okay, so each Buddha definitely have his own kind of like enlightened potential, like Manjushri as a wisdom, Avalokiteshvara as a compassion, Tara in this case, you know, with specifically connecting with the Buddha family and the energy. And yes, that's true, but that experience, able to feel that effect, let's basically put that way, able to feel that effect, to able to observe that effect. Faith in devotion is a fundamental, from the beginning, is a very fundamental, but this individual specific enlightened potential to able to observe and feel that transformation, then our state of awareness, concentration, not only faith in devotion, but the concentration and awareness need to get into the really in a different level, more up. You know, basically we need to upgrade it. Okay. Now, as I was saying before, so everything is a kind of, you know, basically, Tara, there's no kind of like creators kind of that can take care of everything. You know, so this is just kind of like we come up this much, and Tara's wisdom and compassion can. So that meeting in the middle, that's all again, as a day-to-day life, when we have a Tara image, that's whole, it's a representation of our own spiritual practice. Basically, unification of wisdom and compassion. And there's particularly also there's a bodhicitta representation. There is a three jewel representation. So it's really key component that spiritual path need to be filtered by relating with the Tara image. And that's really, then like even lungam number tabe taja harshawa. There's different Tara's potential, you know, description can be, at this moment, it may become much more theory, okay, like a transformation of a jealousy. I don't know, at this moment, it just becomes much more kind of a base on a Buddha family and a base of the manifestation. Okay. There's one Tibetan scholar, he says, you know, green Tara, he maybe not exactly green Tara, there's no such as green, but more like a, because Tara's, the Pure Land in this kalpa is called Potala, Riu Potala. Riu Potala is much more kind of historically, Riu Potala is in the southern part of India. Potala in nation is Potala. The word Pot, I think it's in Kerala, in southern part of India, Kerala, the pot is kind of like a holy site. So, in one scholar says, not sure it's exactly green, but in the southern part of India, the way people manifest a little bit more kind of earth, more brown, more brown. Brown color. He think that is his interpretation, not necessarily fully green that we see, but he kind of give that kind of like a, I think it's coming through the in the Tara's praise, Potala in nature, the one there's this verse invoking praise. It's mentioned Potala, which is Avalokiteshvara, Pure Land. At the same time, in another way to look at it, Tara as a reincarnation of Avalokiteshvara, maybe, as okay. Now, the reason I'm talking over here is basically how we connect with the Tara. That's what I'm trying to communicate. If we believe there's something like ultimate enlightened being kind of going to fix our problem, in that way of relating won't be, it will be not beneficial as a Buddhist, I think. It's almost like a creator, something, any medicine have a combination, like medicine have that potential to cure, but we need to bring our element in the right position. We need to bring our element into the right conducive level. So this combination, it can work, so therefore our faith, so basically what I'm saying is the way we relating with the Idams, the way we relating, particularly the Mother Tara, need to be, kind of observe, correct, and deepening. And particularly in a Tara image, when we have, and the way you connecting, where you relating with the Tara, manifestation kind of represent your spiritual path. But in a deep down, you see as the character, the nature, all the Buddha's enlightened beings, enlightened activity. So these things are, I think, will help us to getting and deepening our practice. This can help us, this awareness. Otherwise, we stay in a very surface and almost coming to something almost like a treating, like that will take care, that enlightened being. So there is something really, the manifestation represent my journey. And my faith is connecting with the nature, which is an enlightened activity. The manifestation tell us to come this far. You need to take the manifestation, the message of a manifestation says, come up to the middle. And your nature, and that journey, that call is done. That call was received based on your own devotion into the awareness of the nature of the Tara. It's not nature as an enlightened being, but the nature as a nature of all the enlightened beings' activity. Okay, so okay, so now now, as going back to the early, what I'm trying to say is fundamentally, there's a mantra and sadhanas and visualizations, we need to see this mantra is good for me. This visualization is good for me. That kind of like is not my commitment. we need to find that something is good for me. It's good for me, not just good feeling. It's a good for me. We need to. I think that way we relating will be much more profound. Okay. Now I think obviously is a good for me. It's not based on the ego. You have a set of the motivation of a bodhicitta that will benefit being. I want to develop concentration. I want to have a pure state of awareness. Okay, so now the organization, the structure of the sadhana, like for example here the Tara, in the booklet, at the beginning there's a lamrim prayer, small scope, medium scope, and great scope, similar style of Yenten Shikuma. But here, what we're doing is these realizations which is your spiritual wish. And that, so Tara, the visualization, Tara sadhana, visualization of Tara sadhana, really grounding that sadhana after that prayer, Lamrim prayer. Then you have this kind of visualization. That visualization is almost making kind of like a 3-dimension of a kind of like a representing your Lamrim as a kind of like a 2-dimension, just kind of straightforward. So now here, you know, now here, like for example, Tara, now this kind of spiritual inspiration, of course, you can do Lamrim retreat, like maybe in a way, in a strange mind, if this is at the beginning practice, Tara sadhana, there's all this Lamrim, then why we just do Lamrim retreat? After that, why do visualization of a Tara? Okay. So now we need to see these structures. What's happening is, yes, we can do Lamrim retreat and just go through Lamrim. The spiritual journey to, the progress of a spiritual journey is not just by doing. It's not the hour, it's not the time, really doesn't really qualifies and if make the effects, the time not necessary. So here, of course, when you're doing the visualizations and so on and so forth, it's really kind of, you are doing the visualization of a Tara. There's not necessarily Lamrim meditation for sake, it's not particularly, but you are working into a karmic, in a much more, in a deeper level, basically, sometime when you have in a subtle level, small shift, the progress into the surface can be much more rapid. So therefore, into the visualization of a Tara, and based on that, you have this kind of a different visualizing, receiving blessing, and so on and so forth. These things can work into in a much more, in a deeper, in a karmic level, to shift, to make your Lamrim meditation much more effective, much more effective, much more effective. So in a generally, we can do both. Yes, we can do both. But the meaning behind lots of spiritual transformation, realization, is the need to karmically shift much more in a deeper level. And of course, on top of that, also the Lamrim meditation and the reflection becomes important. Now, okay, so therefore, going back to the sadhanas and how we, when we're doing sadhanas, like visualizations, one important part is visualization without heart connection. Then visualization is much more like daydreaming. Okay, so therefore, heart connection is very important. And your visualization arising from your heart connection. And in the sadhana, it's just template. And you're not kind of limited into the how it's described in the sadhana. In whatever is the sadhana, it's just like a template. It's just the kind of structure. And you cannot, I mean, like, I think it's not appropriate to do whatever I want to be. Becoming your own kind of creativity is kind of not necessarily. In a tantric practice, and particularly Yidam practice and deity practice, you have to have a kind of like a lineage blessings. And a lineage blessing is this, some kind of honoring that lineage. And in the lineage, whatever, you're just kind of like really having that. And on top of that, I think there's a space of expression of your heart connection. It's not just limited into that sadhana, okay? But that becomes kind of like a template where you develop. So therefore, our visualization of a yidam can become very, very directly effective for concentration practice. Concentration practice. Through the visualization of the yidams, like a Madhadara and receiving blessing, and these can become directly impacted to strengthening our bodhicitta. Okay, and likewise also with our wisdom, our wisdom practice. So therefore, although it doesn't seem like a Lamrim meditation, directly you are going through like a wisdom, you're going through a 4-point analysis, and then trying to understand, trying to negate and trying to dissolve. You're not doing that kind of directly, but that visualization of a sadhana, practice of that sadhana, can kind of shift karmically much more in a subtle level. So therefore, because again, fundamentally, the question comes like how that can shift happens. Why cannot just go with my own wisdom and to make that shift? Now again, going back to the same kind of things, visualization, sadhana, Tara visualization, or that I'm supposed to stop? No, we take a short break. Okay. Yes, sorry. Really? Oh, it's exciting. Okay. Okay. Hopefully this excitement will continue. So let's take some break. I want to have for the excitement more fresh air. Okay. Okay, 20 minutes, good. Okay. Okay. Maybe just here. Let's see. Like that. Yes, that's good. That's good. Perfect. Can you hear better? How's that? Let's just let me know. Sounds better? Okay. Okay. Saji bungi choji mendo jam rira lenje ninde gembandi sangye shindu mide mbuwa jogun namda shingla chupa jo dam guru rana mendala gane adayami Sangye chodan zoge chonam la changju partu dani gyabzu dagi jinye gibe tsonam ge ndola benje zangye ndoba jo sangye chodan zoge chonam la changju partu dani gyabzu Dagi jinzo kibe zonamge ndola benje zange nduba jo zange chedan tsogi chon changju pardu dani gyabzonje dagi jinzo kibe zonamge ndola benje zange nduba jo Okay, so key point here in a practice of Atara is to strengthening and deepening our devotion or the faith. So, basically, Lamrim practice able to carry on in the container of the faith and devotion. What you call it's like so basically right now sometimes what we do is like even a meditation will be impermanent, just kind of like a just kind of like a very dry awareness trying to absorb. When I say dry awareness basically means that awareness, that reflection, it's just mere reflection. You don't have any warmth. You don't have any kind of a heart. So basically, what we are doing in a sadhana practice, you are trying to bring that nurturing element, that warmth. That warmth, you're basically kind of like praise for Tara, visualization of a Tara, and it's basically you're bringing that moisture into your awareness. The moisture is that kind of like that moisture is developed through praise and a devotion and expression, visualization of the Tara. Okay, and basically it's not necessarily logical. It's not necessarily explaining like an emptiness. It's much more into through your own heart, your own intuition, or through your own heart. So practice of a Tara, Tara practice was done in individual who are doing Sutrayana practice. Tara practice was done in the individual who are doing the advanced like Tantra practice. So when we're doing fundamentally, our meditation is not just doing; it's done into that kind of warmth. And that kind of warmth was built based on a Tara practice, Tara praises, visualization of a Tara. So what that warmth, if we labeled, is basically so-called faith in a devotion to Tara. That, basically praise and mantra recitation and visualization also build that warmth, and based on that warmth also you do the praise and visualization and the mantra recitation. So basically your wisdom is growing into the base on that kind of warmth, faith and a devotion. And basically, as last night I mentioned, the faith and devotion in this context is have a range. The state of mind goes to the pure state of awareness to concentrated state of awareness. Open state of awareness to concentrated. Concentrated, basically, there's a conviction. It is not it is a kind of gradually built up. It's a gradually built up a process of awareness. It's not that suddenly you trust and you believe and your convictions, not something like that. Okay, so fundamentally, wisdom, when we, like, for example, if wisdom not have a nurture in the container of a tepa, I'll use the word Tibetan word tepa, some kind of a non-critical state of awareness. Non-critical state of awareness, can I say that? Non-critical is, when the wisdom practice without, like, such as a nurture into that, Tara practice or something like that, the wisdom becomes basically critical. It can be very sharp, it can be very understanding, but it just merely becomes critical. Okay, it doesn't really help to subdue, it doesn't really help to your transformation. It may have a many variety ideas and a variety kind of ideal thing can express, but it doesn't really transform anything. So the key, in such a case, that wisdom is more harmful than helpful. So therefore, practice of a Tara is really bringing the wisdom to awakening non-critical stage of wisdom in it. Practice of a Tara. You're doing Tara practice, and you do the Tara praises, and these are the kind of like exercising your, tapa, and the kind of a heart connection, that heart connection to Tara. And if you look at more a little bit closer, what that means, tapa is a faith. In a literal translation, is a faith and devotion, but fundamentally, it starts with a pure state of awareness. Awareness that really open up your awareness to all existence, based on the blessings of Tara, but at the same time, it can kind of go into the detail and observe the detailness. But the detailness, awareness about the detailness, awareness of a subtle layer are kind of hold it into that pure state of awareness. And that pure state of awareness is kind of developed based on a conviction and faith and devotion, heart connection to Tara. Instead, I'm using this word devotion and faith, I'll use this heart connection, okay? Because faith and devotion, and the heart connection maybe becomes much more better terminology. So basically, practice of Tara becomes a fundamental to our own spiritual journey. And of course, it can play both. It can play the foundation to your, developing compassion, developing concentration, developing your wisdom. At this foundation, also the Tara practice itself makes you a very vivid for Tara manifestation as your spiritual, the individual, the specific spiritual practice. Okay, so therefore, in essentially, you really, practice of a Tara. Your wisdom practice was done based on a Tara practice. Your compassion practice was done based on a Tara practice. So it almost becomes kind of like a prerequisite for spiritual transformation. Tara practice becomes kind of a mandatory. Your wisdom, if you plant into without that kind of a blessing of a heart connection, your wisdom becomes very critical and endless. It becomes kind of frustration, frustration. So therefore, this kind of so fundamentally, practice of a Tara, basically brings that kind of open heart and heart connection. Your wisdom able to kind of collaborate with your heart. Now, now I think, so that kind of a heart connection through Tara practice, opening up, basically I will say like opening up our own heart, due to the practice of Tara, visualization of the front visualization or self-visualization or mantra recitation. And when you're doing this kind of like a very, that kind of like a visualization and a recitation of a mantra, it's almost like you need to kind of absorb into that. There's kind of like you need to feel like you are absorbed into that visualization. Basically, there's like a full open of your heart, and basically based on that kind of absorbed into that. What I'm saying, absorbed in the visualization. Basically what I'm saying, like it's you're full present. It is not like kind of like you're taking class of a drawing, tanka painting. It's not something like that. It is, so basically, and that kind of openness of our heart, and openness of our heart, that's really becomes openness of our positive karma. Our positive karma is obscured by our closeness of our heart. There's no heart connection for anything. Our heart connections are obscured by our egotistical mind, our attachment, and our anger, and so on. So now, like for example, in a Tara practice, one of the Jigba Gele Gyoba, that kind of liberating from the 8 fear. Jigba Gele Gyoba, Jigba Gele and Juru, there's sometimes the 16th, 8, which includes basically all the afflictions, pretty much the standard afflictions: anger, hatred, jealousy, doubt, and so on and so forth. So basically in these external, in each of these have, like for example, have external conditions. Individual practitioner, whatever karmically connected they've been, facing some type of external threat. And that external threat came through his or her karmic condition. At that moment, to transforming that karma or shifting that karma, instead of getting caught into the fear and the reaction, that individual just make a heart connection, sincere heart connection to the Tara. Not distracted with the fear in any kind of situation, although it is triggered by the fearful situation. It is triggered by the fear. There's 8 different type of a fearful situation triggered. These individuals can fall into the internal and external both, but at that moment, that individual somehow get into the deep state of awareness, open heart towards to the Tara, Mother Tara, that, Tara becomes kind of like opening up that individual's heart, and that kind of like a faith, and based on that faith, that kind of like a miracle, miracle happens not only by intellectual and wisdom, and the miracle happens based on a heart connection. Miracle, so-called miracle. Miracle happens based on the devotion. Miracle happens based on a vision, happens based on a devotion. It's kind of like a spiritual vision can happen based on a devotion. Yeah, spiritual vision doesn't happen based on a demand. It's only it happens into that kind of openness. So really, like for example, those great teachers, they are so learned, but at the same time, their heart is so open, and they are having these visions, different visions, and consistent, reliable, and confidence into those visions. So therefore, practice of Tara is, sometimes it's not all about the doing. I'm going to do it. It's not all about the doing the sadhana. It's not about the doing the repetition. It's not all about the doing the meditation in Lamrim. It's not all about the doing the analyzing the nature of reality. Done in which kind of container? In what kind of vehicle? What kind of environment? Yeah. So practice of Tara becomes very important. Like for example, sometime even in the monasteries, the abbots and the disciplines will kind of says, your study, like for example, 1 gallon of, just make the analogy, 1 gallon of your study require 4 gallons of a Tara practice. So that's, I think it tells us clear, so therefore it's just basically, attention is to transform, attention is to have an impact, so therefore it's not just you're doing it, it's not all about doing it, it's the way you do it, it's how you spiritual, perfect spiritual presentation. Let's put it this way. Presentation. My limited understanding, when you go to like a French restaurant, and then there's the plates are really beautiful. The things are, presentation is so concentrated. The food itself, for my taste, I'm not sure. I say, bring the real one. Where's the one is coming? But the chef and the waiters, they are so presentation, how they put things and how they explain and but anyway, it's my friend paid that bill. And the next day, my friend said, "No, Rinpoche, we're not going to take you to the fancy restaurant. We'll take you by couscous and eat for something." It was also for me, it wasn't that good taste. So next day, I went to the straightforward restaurant. You just buy it straight, not sit down and all these teachings. Okay. So I think here, am I in the right place to meditate in emptiness? Am I in the right place to do a concentration? And what is the right place? How I create that right place? So here, the main recommendation is, yes, we can create right place based on a practice of a Tara. Practice of a Tara. Fundamentally, that kind of like that kind of right place, there's basically, we can say 2 ways to create that right place. One way, okay, like for example, you just do Shine meditation. Usually when you look at in the Lamrim, Shine meditation doesn't really tell you to do the Tara practice. You read the Lamrim Chemo, there's no Tara practice recommendation for the Shine meditation. It's the same like Asangas and many teachers. Not well, there is a, refuge practice and so on and so forth. Maybe it's included. Anyway, I think it is something, practice of a sadhana, practice of a Tara practice, a particularly Tara practice, which is a karmically, this period time that where we are. That kind of gradually, deeply, sincerely developing that heart connection, and not only through the practice, through the sadhana practice. And then there is this kind of, not, you develop that kind of open awareness, not through process, through spontaneous. Okay, so that's kind of the key thing. We can create that kind of an open state of awareness through process, and we can create open state of awareness through spontaneous, just on the moment, through the just by faith and devotion or heart connection towards the Tara. So that's really the fundamental. Otherwise, all the things becomes you're planting in a high desert. The seeds you're putting, you have the perfect seeds. You're planting on the high desert. There's no moisture. So practice of Tara is bringing that kind of Kyola Dujing Soa Tabitus, Kyola Dujing Soa Taba. So that kind of heart connection to Tara you develop through two things: praises of Tara and supplication. You can say that supplication, supplication. And again, that's important. And this is praising and supplication is expressions of your own heart connection. There's no limitation. There's no limit. There's no standard. There's no standard. I'm not sure there's no standard. When you're in a group, maybe you follow the standard, but by yourself, in your own place, there's no limitation. Okay? There's no standard. So these are the, I think, fundamentally, it's expression of that joy, that heart connection. And you're nurturing that again and again. You're nurturing that again and again. Then you have that perfect right place. Even you do a short Shine meditation. Yes, we can get the realization. Okay, so right now we are just doing it, but doing in the wrong place, in the wrong state. So it's like very difficult. It becomes everything's uphill battle. Everything becomes uphill. So really to have that, sometimes we say like, oh, this person have a lots of merit. Sometimes there's some people have a really transformation, very visible, and they say lots of merit. Okay, we express this a lot of merit. Now over here, fundamentally, I think we all can have a lot of merit. Lots of merit is just kind of description. Fundamentally, it's just having this kind of heart connection with the Tara, with the idams, different idams. So there is that non-critical state of awareness. And basically, and now if we go a little bit look at down, looking fundamentally, practice of Tara and blessing of Tara will reduce the fear that 24/7 that we go through, kind of, either sometimes is a high vibration of a fear, or either there's something fear, just constantly, that fear. And that fear makes our awareness very critical. Even our wisdom becomes very critical. So fundamentally, practice of Tara is trying to kind of pacify, kind of dispositions of this fear. And, when this 8, liberating from 8 fear, the Jigpa Ge, liberating from 8 fear. This is one of the Tara's description. This comes Jigpa Ge Gyoba, the fear. And the first fear, liberation fear, is the egotistical view. So, so although Tara practice itself is not necessarily directly considered as a meditation in emptiness, which is a meditation of emptiness, is a direct antidote of the ego grasping. But there is a, kind of negative environment, awareness environment created through that fear. And that's, I think, that kind of praise for Tara, mantra recitation of a Tara. Basically, mantra recitation and visualizations are expression of your heart connection for Tara. and that opens up. That kind of naturally pacifies karmic fear. Naturally pacifies karmic fear. Okay, so therefore, it's a very, very when the awareness have a less, our awareness and our interactive have a less fear element, then there's a naturally open heart, naturally open heart, naturally. Everything becomes much more beautiful. Everything becomes much more sincere. Everything becomes much more kind of compassion can arise more natural. Wisdom becomes natural, kind of like it's just kind of like more effective. So basically, I think it's very important that we doing the practice of Atara is pretty much for spiritual journey prerequisite. Otherwise, our spiritual journey never make progress. Never make. We might have lots of information. Now, information any smartphone give better information, but the AI never can develop heart connection. I don't think so. Again, at this moment, who knows? Many things are possible. Since nothing is truly exist, possibility is there. So basically, I think the spiritual practitioner, we have to have that open heart. That openness of a heart need to develop through heart connection. And in this case, like a tara is a fundamental, karmically. So again, it is a kind of gradually built up. Basically you do qualitative practice. The practice not to kill the time. I have some time, let me do the practice. So it's more, it's touch your heart. You're doing the practice once your heart is touched, and you don't have to do so long sadhana. Qualitative. So basically, practice of Atara can bring transformation we as a human being. Okay, so basically that's it. One thing we maybe at this moment, because we are intelligent, doesn't really define living being. Now maybe we can connect with the Tara. That kind of like a heart connection, I think, fundamentally. So really, it's the same thing. You want to have a beautiful garden. Make sure you make the soil much more moistured and conducive. And similarly, if we want to have a spiritual transformation, and then making that inner environment in the right place. And the method is that's the practice of Atara. Method to making that is a practice of Atara. Okay, and that practice of Atara mainly focus into two things: praises and supplication. Very important. Praises and supplication. Praise is really opening up. A supplication make that deepening that connection. There's heart connection, and you are staying into that kind of state of awareness when you, based on that kind of a right place. Even the things that you read Lamrim, you can understand much more different way. You can meditate, you can concentrate in state of that right place. Your meditation have a different impact. And in that kind of, in the right place, you make a prayer. Prayer have a more success rate. Your dedication have a more success rate. So anyway, now I'm sounds like a marketing. Sure. I think there's an English terminology. Request, supplication. Supplication. Yeah, that's right. Huh? Are you sure? Because there's several times. What will be another word? Surrender. Okay. You're asking. Huh? Entreating.
Supplication is more like
Beg. Okay. Okay. Tibetan speaking English. So, because mostly I memorize the terminology, so I don't understand the detail. So if the supplication have a more like a kind of demanding and much more kind of please. Oh, okay. Heartfelt. Okay. Okay. Hierarchy.
asking somebody who's more advanced than you.
More advanced. Okay. Supplication. And another one, what you say? Entreating have that same, that have also same thing? Entreating.
When you're asking, like,
Ask her begging, yeah, ask her begging. Humility, yes. Basically, yeah, I think we should do that. Morning, once you put the water bowl offering, then you make a strong supplication. And anyway, the point is an exercise. Supplication is something. Is not so. It is an expression. It's not like a political. We all we are all democrats. We are all equal. Supplication have that expression, and I need, and maybe a little bit of ego. I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. This moment we have an ego. Huh? Yearning. Basically, like for example, equanimity is wonderful. It's a different perspective, all sentient being, but at the same time, equanimity doesn't become kind of like an egotistical equanimity. Now, in now this over here, intuiting or supplication or request or praise, these are not universal law, but personal practice. We need to see something is a personal. You are not imposing for anybody. This is a poem. It can be exaggerated. It's like a poetry you're expressing. It is not necessarily be literally. It is not philosophy. It is not description of a reality. It is expressions of your heart. So there's no limitation. It don't have to be correct universally. What happened? So if it have something like higher and low, it's okay. It's your heart expression, whatever that is. So it's an individual right. It's an individual. So anyway, so you know, sometime in our society, you know, where the hierarchies, yeah, it's like this is a tradition. I'm in high throne. In Portland, I don't have this high throne. In Portland, I have like maybe 2 feet or 1 feet. This is quite high. Early time in Portland, you know, we are kind of trying to do things. And one day I just watched some YouTube and I saw my friend Rinpoche, and he have a very fancy throne. I said, like, and at the moment, I thought I might make one throne like that. Then I was telling myself what I'm doing, what you're thinking about. Of course, I didn't do it, but it got my attention. Oh, he have a kind of fancy drones and lots of stuff, and I thought I can do too. But you know,
Can go.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so- Yeah.
yes,
And it's sort of like prostrating as well.
absolutely, exactly. So like a 7-step or 7-limb prayer, you know, 7-step in a 7-limb literal translation we call 7-limb prayer, Yangla Dumpa. And it starts with a prostration. It starts with a it starts with the prostration, and the prostration is the antidote of ego. It's basically that physical movement is supposed to send some message to internal ego. That's bowing down. There's a friend of mine, Tibetan, who lives in Korea, and Tibetan we bowed, but not too much bow. But she says in Korea you have to bow so much. so anyway, that's again fundamentally, you know, sometime in a can be culture, you know. Anyway, you know, once you have that heart feeling, then the expression can be different. Some bowing, some can be different. So if there is something in the heart, it manifests into your body language. It manifests in your body language. If something only in your head, never body language express. So it's just kind of, you know, it's just in the head. When anything's go into your heart, there is a body language, you know, that's the right word. There's something expression comes, each body will show naturally. And that can be manifest through the culture. This can manifest in many different ways. You know, so what basically for us is basically if our mindfulness practice is not making progress or non-effective, or anything in life becomes kind of like a stiff and non-functioning, you know, fundamentally practice of a Dara. And then you know, basically you are in the right track, but still karma plays role in our life. At least we put into the right track. You know, at least we put in the right track. So Dara practice is so fundamentally it is kind of necessary for everything, you know, and okay. Okay. Now, you know, like again, so that kind of like open heart, and that kind of open heart is taking more further with a heart connection with the different yidams. And this whole thing is a personal journey. Nothing have to fit with your own philosophical belief or universal philosophy. It's your personal. And now, 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 like, for example, practicing in the Buddhism, is required to practice our Tara? Not necessarily. This is particularly like a practice of Tara is very much into Vajrayana tradition. It's not whole Buddhism. Even within the Tibetan Buddhism, it is only in Vajrayana tradition. It's introduced. It is not necessarily introduced into the Sutrayana, but it's in the Sutrayana. It gives kind of a glimpse of not entire visualization and so on and so, but like, for example, when I was small, basically we do 21 Tara praises and offering to Tara. That's it, just kind of, there's that kind of introduction. And sometimes recitation of a Tara mantra. There's not that much visualization. There's no any kind of initiation to reciting 21 Tara praise, mantra recitation, not necessarily require any kind of jenang or permission or initiation or anything doesn't require. So which is particularly in Tibetan Buddhism, Tara practice was done into it's much more kind of maybe more kind of like a kind of group practice. Now, more culture, more herd mentality. Like everybody's doing so. Everybody's now. Now, I think now the question comes. Okay, practice of a chenrezi, practice of different yidams. Different yidams. Now, like. I think there's some point when I say Tara is a reincarnation of Avalokiteshvara. In any early statues, I see there's more Avalokiteshvara statue in early Buddhism, more Avalokiteshvara statue than the Tara statue. There's more like there's 8 Bodhisattva. 8 Bodhisattva who are kind of putting together Buddha's Vajrayana teaching and Mahayana teaching. Within the 8 Bodhisattva, Jaya Chananda changes saying there's no Tara mentioned into that 8 Bodhisattva who are involving into the preserving the Mahayana teaching. So anyway, the point over here is in the 21 Tara praises, it says like metaphorically, Avalokiteshvara cried and tears is born. So that's kind of like an analogy. But here, I think basically, as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like a reincarnation of Avalokiteshvara, of Tara as a reincarnation of Avalokiteshvara. Basically, the compassion with a skillful means. That's what is missing. Compassion itself is, so there is that kind of bodhicitta dedication towards to the karmic being in this time, this period of time. Okay, so therefore, I think it is just kind of like a so so maybe that analogy may becomes like there's like a deep experience of a bodhicitta by Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, and based on that prayer and dedication, which through that, what's the Tara manifestation happened. And that's the kind of enlightened activity. So compassion with the skillful means. Okay. So now, okay. So, so we can look at like Manjushri is a manifestation of a wisdom, and Avalokiteshvara is a manifestation of the all Buddha's enlightened compassion, and Tara is an enlightened activity. So again over here, wisdom, Manjushri is a manifestation of all the Buddha's wisdom. So maybe, in a long journey in a spiritual practice, in long journey, like particularly in the meditation in emptiness, when it becomes much more kind of like we are much more kind of like qualified and more precise and having those concentration. And during these periods of time, part of the meditation of emptiness integrated with the merit field and the center figure as a Manjushri, I think is much more relevant. But now I think the Tara manifestation is really, from my point of view, I didn't saw in the Pacific text, but from my point of view, is really directly trying to communicate with our own karmic disposition at this moment. What's going on over here is basically too much obscuration and too much fear, too much. We are living in a state of obscurated and fear state. And, Avalokiteshvara, obviously, manifestation of all the enlightened compassion, but still there's this metaphor through the tear, there's a Tara manifestation happened. And here is making, basically corresponding with immediate sentient beings' karma. So basically, in another way to look at it, beginning of our spiritual journey path. So this is my just observation. Maybe you can ask to different teachers. At the beginning of the spiritual path, we need to take a sincere refuge through Tara, basically. And then when we have some level of a kind of like a stability, and then become more focused. Of course, you do Avalokiteshvara practice and Manjushri practice, but then become more kind of focused. So I will say, at the beginning, Tara practice. It becomes like, if you feel like, like, even sometimes you're a little bit more kind of making progress, but again, if you feel more interference, something karmic situations are ripening, then you can a little bit kind of giving more focus into the Tara practice, more focus into the Tara practice. So general in a beginner practitioner, but then even in some situation, even though you are in advance, but some karmic turbulence you're facing, then doing more focused Tara practice. And then, like when you feel more grounded, more on the track, then you have this specific, like a Manjushri and Avalokiteshvara. So basically, yeah, so Tara practice becomes kind of almost due to our karmic circumstances is basically mandatory. Okay. And now Okay. Okay. Now I'll talk a little bit about the visualization. Okay, visualization. Mhm.
Sorry, thanks. Can you please define enlightened activity or activities
Mhm.
and maybe give examples?
Yes, good.
Thanks.
So, okay, I will give basically let me put it this way. Sentient being and enlightened being are connected, interdependent, are connected, okay, in overall general speak. Now, when we're talking about enlightened activity, we need to talk the Dharmakaya. Dharmakaya is the source to enlightened activity. Now, what is the enlightened activity? Enlightened activity is basically through the state of a Dharmakaya, enlightened beings, the Dharmakaya, there is an interactiveness of activity over here is just kind of like a triggering or creating of a virtue mind into the sentient beings. So basically, to enlightened activity is like in a short way to look at it is if we have a virtue mind's experience happens, that's considered as a result of enlightened activity. It is somehow connected with the enlightened beings, the Dharmakaya. Okay? So, so basically, what's happening is, we'll have like an example. Due to Tara's connection, heart connection, you're going to do a practice of a Tara, and through the practice of a Tara, you're creating this kind of a virtue state of a mind. It looks like I did myself, but there is an influence of a Dharmakaya of a Tara. Is a complex question. You hit really complicated question. Yes, that's a very important question. What is the enlightened activity? Enlightened activity happens in the enlightened states, or enlightened activity happens into the. What is the enlightened activity? Enlightened activity is any kind of virtue state of mind able to create into the beings. That's the enlightened activity. So maybe what is the enlightened activity? Enlightened activity is a virtue state of a mind of a beings, sentient beings or bodhisattvas or anything. Virtue state of a mind. Like for example, when we're making water bowl offering with an open heart, with a connection with the Tara, and this whole experience, there's external things happening and there's internal things happening. What is the enlightened activity is whatever going sincerely into your heart is the main enlightened activity. And then how that's now we think that looks like this whole thing I done. This is a connected, that kind of like a sincere virtue activity in your heart that is connected with the Dharmakaya of an enlightened being. Okay. So basically, this concept of enlightened activity to understand is one thing is you need to see nothing happens independently in our own self. Everything's happened dependently. It's things that happens dependently in many different layers. And a spiritual deep experience that can happen also through the dependently. Nothing happens independently. So that expansion really invites, okay, then what? Through what happening these things? One of the key role will be Dharmakaya of enlightened beings plays important role of spiritual formation of myself. So basically, my spiritual formation almost looks like I did it. Yes, that's true. I did it for certain extents, definitely. But there is a Ishichoku Dakin, Dharmakaya place. Dakin, I don't know how to translate, but the Dharmakaya place, basically, enlightened activity is one time, one student asked lots of questions of that. It was a good question. You know, sometime in the philosophical text, when he explained the enlightened activity, if we misunderstood, then it becomes a little bit more creator. There is a Dharmakaya who's really making everything happen. That's not the case. But it is plays important role to transformation of your own virtue mind. So now, like a tilekla gu sung tuk yönden tile. You know, sometimes enlightened quality described from the 5-point body, speech, mind, and the yönden as a literal translation as a quality, and then tile is activity. Gu sung tuk yönden tile tamji. I think the medicine Buddha practice at the beginning, refuge descriptions comes through this one. Gu sung, body, speech, and mind, and quality and activity embodying something like that. So basically, in a short, enlightened activity, Ishichuku Tile, is something virtue experience within the sentient being. Is enlightened activity. I will try to make it more clear, but this is we can kind of discuss more further. But you know, sometimes in the philosophical text, you know, sometimes it's like almost like a creator, that Dharmakaya creates everything. It's not necessarily something like that. In another way to simplify, and I think what is the enlightened activity? If I simplify, then maybe that kind of like a compassion with a skillful means is the enlightened activity. Compassion with a skillful means. What that means, compassion with a skillful means basically there's a less interference with a karmic fear from the person who receiving compassion. Huh? Which one? Fear. So less interference by the karmic fear. Karmic fear means basically, the main question comes, what is a karmic fear? Is just we as a kind of naturally, you know, that kind of due to the egotistical view, we have a natural kind of fear. Kind of like it's not by threat, but it's kind of like a naturally kind of undercurrent of that fear. So in a simple way, enlightened activity is a compassion with a skillful means. So basically, due to the practice of Atara practice, we will able to generate skillful means, something that through that blessing of Atara, basically all our own activity have a less interference of a fear. Something more courage, let me put this way. But not courage in terms of an egotistical or risk taker, not necessarily from that point of view, but there is some kind of a balance. There's So that's, I would say, like a individual kind of a gradually turn to, basically sometime when you do things, sometimes when you're trying to create some project, you're trying to doing things, sometimes you caught in the naturally, you look into the how you cannot do it. You focus more obstacle part. And sometimes you're create some project, you don't focus into obstacles part, but you focus into the potential part. But there is an obstacle, definitely. So maybe through the enlightened activity, blessings, the change in our activity, maybe we become more focusing into the potential, but less pay attention into the obstacle. It can be self-grasp. Even the self-grasping is there, but the activity, the skillful means your focus is shifting into the potential part, but not overly, because we karmically looks more like a majority most looks for the why I cannot do it, because list of things are going to go on. And it's just mindset. It's at the end of the day, any project that you can do it or not do it is up to your mindset. If you focus into what you cannot do it and all that, then you have, no matter how many resources we get, we have an infinite problem. So basically, enlightened activity is more, I would say, like more optimistic, more optimistic. So anyway, to come back to the what is the enlightened activity? More complicated with the Dharmakaya, with the virtue. So maybe more simplifying is skillful means. Okay, and what the
Is, for instance, let's say you want to help someone, and skillful means that you're helping in a way that's beneficial to the person rather than something that's not beneficial to them. So in other words, you might think you're helping, but it's actually not helping. So then that's not skillful means.
Exactly. But here, skillful means is not so much like a talent and you're knowing what to doing. I think that your focus is ways that I think the focus is really all the activity leads through the focus, where you're focusing. So like, for example, like situations happens. So, then sometimes I think the skillful means is basically you able to stay your focus into the middle ground. The condition doesn't pulse your focus into the different space. And so then it becomes, yes, you're still aware all the, what's going on. You're fully aware, but non-distracted by the conditions. And that is the skillful means, I mean, like, it is really, I mean, like, not only the focus, but of course, the motivation plays important role. But the fundamentally to able to be into that positive course, in the journey, there's a lot of, push and pull, but your focus still is able to stay there, and you are clear, but you are non-distracted. And that's, I think, that will be the ultimate skillful means. Otherwise, each time you are responding for different karmic situations arising, if you're constantly responding, then I think it will become like it will lose the focus. It may not necessarily last long. But of course, when we say focus, but doesn't mean you are not paying attention the karmic eruptions happening around. You're paying attention to the karmic eruptions what's happening around, but same time you're keeping your focus very, with based on what kind of motivation we set in the first place. And that place, I think, is, and then, like, that's, I think, that you're able to stay into that balance is the skillful means. You're not falling down. basically, you're able to stand in that thin rope, in the karmic thin rope, and still able to move gently forward. Okay. Um, uh, okay. Uh, okay. Now I'll talk a little bit about the Yidam things. Then we are getting 12:30 we stop. Okay. Now the heart connection with the Tara is how much relevant with our practice of a bodhicitta. That's I want to talk with that a little bit. Mm, bodhicitta, we'll say like a purpose of benefiting sentient being, I want to obtain enlightenment. And now, if we give a description of enlightenment, it can be in, Dharmakaya, Rupakaya, Suvavakaya, and Nirmanakaya. Okay, so these all Sanskrit terminologies. Basically, it have a so Tara, when we say Tara falls within the enlightened states is called fall into the Sambhogakaya Buddha. Sambhogakaya Buddha. Longju Zobiku. Okay, Sambhogakaya Buddha. So now here, so when we're doing bodhicitta motivation, bodhicitta practice, bodhicitta generation, so there is almost like you want to become, for purpose of benefiting sentient being, you want to become exactly like a Tara. Tara, Jome Kopang Logobo, Kopang is a statehood of a Tara, let me put it this way. So now here, this is, I think, one thing is when we're doing Tara practice, it's not only heart connection, but there's a layer of almost like you are inspired. You want to become like exact like a Tara. I mean, like not the manifestation, I'm not talking about that, but something that enlightened activity that becomes beneficial for sentient being. So in the bodhicitta meditation, the purpose of benefiting sentient being, I want to obtain the statehood of a Tara. Can we say that, statehood of a Tara? Tara. Statehood, Kopang. Tibetan we say Kopang. I'm just translating. I'm just asking. Can you? Is this means anything, or is statehood of a statehood of a Buddhahood or statehood? Tara. Huh? Become Tara, yes. Can we, oh, we can do that. Yes. Huh? 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 Yes. Yeah. But basically, again, what you mentioned, state unify with Tatara. Okay, there's all these different expression, unify with Tatara, and becoming Tara, and state of Tara. You can say that? Okay. So there's a three expression. Now, when we say like a unify with Tatara, do you see anything leaving behind? I want to become unified with Tatara. What that means? Unified. Oneness with Tatara. So becoming Tara, basically. Yes. Okay. Now, I think basically in these feelings and based on a heart connection, you are much more not the manifestation, but the nature, isn't it? You know, it's much becoming Tara, becoming like, it's not so much about the manifestation, it's about the nature. Nature. The manifestation is not necessarily exclusive, but manifestation is not necessarily mandatory when we say unify with the Tara. Obtaining the Tarahood, all that expression need to, so basically what I'm saying over here is in a bodhicitta meditation is the ultimate way of connecting with the Tara. It's basically in that kind of heart connection, you are taking into the, not so much you are admired or is, yes, not just admire, but there is this, you want to become that. You want to become exact like a Tara. You want to become beneficial as a like a Tara. So here the heart connection have something that very kind of openness, but not only that, but there is something much more kind of inspired version that I want to become Tara. I want to become beneficial like a Tara. So bodhicitta meditation now that can include the manifestation also, manifest, but main point is the nature. Okay, that's, we need to keep it right. Now manifestation, now sometime we have practitioners, I think in France, there's one director he's a visualization of Avalokiteshvara much more easier. Tara visualization, he could not do that. It kind of feels uncomfortable, something like this, like I cannot do it. So again, now again, this is like sometime like a practitioners, have a more connecting with the Vajrayogini and Tara, and different Yidam Yamantaka. So then, sometimes they say, I'm not comfortable with the Yamantaka. Sometimes I'm not comfortable with the Vajrayogini visual. This whole kind of like, I think that's honest. That's what raw feeling is. And that's also some kind of misunderstanding. There's some misunderstandings there. And I think, this kind of, when we have this kind of feelings, you are devoted, you are sincere practitioner, but there's something, you are still stuck with the conventional reality of a self-existence. So we need to, when we feel this kind of a situation, then we need to tell our own self, this is, I need to cross beyond. If I stay in this state, it becomes very conventional, very conventional. So therefore, what will be the wisdom method to overcoming is anytime when we face this kind of situation, although we are sincere practitioner, I think it's important is on the spot identity of a conventional identity need to be dissolved into the emptiness meditation. And so for answer for that, and that's not, long term, that's not healthy. That's not healthy. So all the enlightened being is a one nature, but different manifestation by different conditioned circumstances. So therefore, I think in the dissolving in the emptiness of your conventional nature and kind of merge into the ultimate. And into that, we become perfect. We'll be suitable for any kind of with it. There's no kind of discomfort into different Eden practice. So that's, I think, one, the sad news is we are too stuck with the conventional reality. Okay, so anyway, going back to the point is the heart connection with the Tara have something bodhicitta meditation. It have like you want to become unified with the Tara, exactly like that feeling. I think is very important. Okay, when we're doing Tara practice, there's a bodhicitta meditation required. Part of the bodhicitta meditation, you have that feeling. That feeling is a very, at least we need to, not just I have this heart connection, but that kind of like a feeling generating. Okay. And then also, sometime Pacific, if you're doing Pacific practice, then you can, part of the merit field, Tara is the main figure, and then you can do this kind of bodhicitta meditation related with that front visualization, and okay. Okay, we'll stop here. Rinpoche Magin Banam Yenju Eba Nyamba